Today I'm in the van and I'm heading to the northwest coast for a day of photography. Okay, so I've got to my first location of the day and I'm at Lytham New Jetty. You might have seen me here before. I've been here a couple of times and the tide is on the way in. So I'm just sort of having to play around with the camera and seeing what I can capture with the jetty as it leads out into the incoming tide. There's the marker at the end and today it's really clear and you can actually see Southport over across the sort of estuary. Behind me over there you can see Winter Hill, which I've also vlogged that before, so that's the West Pennine Moors, which is a good amount of distance away, a fair few miles, but you can see it in the distance. Lovely layers of like the city of Preston and then the West Pennine Moors behind it. I don't think I'll be able to capture a decent shot of that today, but it might be worth a look. But as I say, I'm just sort of going to play around here, see what I can get with the incoming tide, the marker at the end and the jetty sort of leading out into the water. I think the silhouettes of the buildings of Southport in the background will be quite a nice little touch, a nice addition, because whenever I've been here before there's been fog and the visibility hasn't been that good, so you could see that far. But I'm quite enjoying the light, even though it's quite harsh and quite vibrant. But a really good first stop, and I'll hopefully grab a few nice pictures. So I've just put up a couple of pictures, I hope you enjoyed them. The standout for me, there was a boat that went past, a little yacht, and I just did, it was about a 2-second exposure on the marker at the end of the jetty, and you might have seen it, it was kind of like a blurred ship, so I'm going to call that one Ghost Ship. It was quite nice. It just went just behind the marker and it kind of worked quite well. Obviously it's one of them shots that you have one opportunity to take because I can't ask the boat captain to come back, but there is another boat about to come past. I've swapped my wide lens to my long lens, my telephoto lens, and I'm just trying to isolate the marker with the water around it, and you can see a little bit of sort of city silhouette in the background from Southport in the distance across the estuary. I'm just waiting to see where that boat goes, because if it just goes behind this marker it might make for quite a nice shot. So I'm just kind of just biding my time a little bit. There's been loads of people attempting to come down the jetty behind me, but there's a big section which is absolutely caked in mud, so I haven't been disturbed here so far, although I have got my own muddy shoes. But hopefully those shots look quite good, and this one should be quite nice as well. If I can get the timing right with the boat. It is gently, slowly coming this way, sort of coming into where I'd want it in the frame. But this one, I haven't brought my step-up adapters with me for my filters for my long lens, because it's a different sized lens. So I'm going for quite a short exposure on this one, quite short and snappy, 200th of a second, to try and capture a little bit of detail in the water leading up to the marker, and then hopefully the yacht in the background after that. Just trying to keep my eye on it. I think he's coming into shot. He seems to be going further away, but he is slowly coming into shot. So hopefully, if this one is any good, I'll pop it up next, and then I think we're going to head back to the van and head on to location number 2. Okay, so I've just driven all the way up to Rossall, which is past Mary's Shell, so it's quite a distance along the coastal road through Blackpool and that kind of thing. Another reason for today's trip is not only to get some photography and create a vlog, but also I'm hosting a mini UTOGS meetup in Blackpool this evening when the lights come on. The Illuminations, it's the final week of the Illuminations, so I thought it might be a good opportunity now the clocks have gone back, so it pulls the lights forward, they come on earlier. I thought it might be a good opportunity to come along, take some pictures myself, and also put it out to the members of UTOGS. UTOGS is changing a little bit. Tim has stepped down from the admin, long story, and myself, Dave Griff and Gary Norman are heading it up, and we're not sure the future of the group, but hopefully it will just continue to go from strength to strength, and it's little meetups like this which help keep it going in between larger meetups and events and stuff like that. So as I say, I've got to Rossall. It's a place that I've wanted to shoot at properly. I don't think I've ever vlogged here. It's sort of next to Mary's Shell. It's slightly north of Mary's Shell, and there's loads of sea defences and rocks and things that you can use as a lead-in into the ocean, into the water, into the sea, and hopefully using a long exposure, or maybe not so long of an exposure, to create, either to use a long exposure to make a ghostly look and feel across some rocks and some static stuff, or try and do a shorter exposure and capture the details of the water hitting the rocks and falling over the various different aspects that are static. So I'm going to get the camera out in a minute. I'm just going to have a brew and something to eat, and yeah, we'll go from there. Hopefully later on there'll be a few people turn up, but if there's not, then it's not that big of a deal. I didn't think there would be that many midweek at 5 PM when the lights come on and stuff, but that just means I'll capture a few images and then go home. There possibly might be a shot on the way home as well at St Anne's, so I sort of half checked that it was an option as I was driving past, and there was something. So if I'm not too exhausted after Lytham, Rossall, Blackpool for the Illuminations before home, I might stop at St Anne's. So let's get this brew down me and go and join all these fishermen who seem to be, it's like a big line of fishermen. Must be a good catch today. Hopefully it'll be the same for the photography. So as you can see, I'm here on the beach at Rossall, and it's really nice just to be here and to see the ebb and the flow of the tide reveal new things. I've taken a little walk from the van, probably 150 yards up that way, and I've just captured a few little sort of detailed shots with the with sort of ghostly, ethereal looking water around static images like I said I was going to do. But even looking back down that way 10-15 minutes later after I got here, I can see new things being revealed as the tide works its way back out. So I've just captured a shot here at this wooden wall, the defence sort of thing, with some stones in the foreground and some details, some nice browns and stuff of the bolts and the wood with the water. So hopefully that'll look quite good. I took another shot further up that way with what looks like, it's like an old something sticking out the beach. And yeah, that one looks quite good as well. But as I say, I can see new things being revealed as the tide is working its way back out. So I'm going to head back up that way and just see what I can get and just have a bit of a play with long exposures and shorter exposures to capture a bit of detail in the movement of the waves and the foam and yeah, just everything. Maybe a bit of the sky as well, although I'm not very impressed or inspired by the sky at the moment. It's very blue, very, very bright. Not my kind of photography, but you have to play the hand you're dealt, and we'll go with what we've got here today at Rossall. So this is stop 2 on my 3 or 4 part journey today. I'm going to head back down that way and see what other shots I can get. Well, that was actually really good fun. I really enjoyed that. Rossall, as I said, is somewhere where I've wanted to come and I've wanted to do this kind of thing before. I perhaps peaked a little bit too soon. The shots that I got to start with, I think I was more than happy with, and I've shared them with you already. But then, as the sea retreated out, everything just got a bit samey, and you lost that watery, silky effect around the subject, and it just became less and less. So high tide at Rossall is ticked off, and I'll come back and do it again at some point. So I now need to drive back down to Blackpool, find somewhere to park, and I've got about 3 hours until this meet, but I'm pretty sure I can find something to take pictures of, maybe get ready for sunset as well before the meet, or maybe slightly after the meet, during the meet. So yeah, so far so good today. I'll see you in Blackpool. As you can see, I've made it to Blackpool, I've parked up, and I've got about just over an hour and a half until the meetup is due to start. You can probably see the tower there just behind me, and I'm just sort of looking, we might be on for a half decent sunset. There's a bit of an orange glow in the sky already, and I'm just sort of looking, scouting out some ideas and compositions. As the tide's on the way out, as it's already come in when I was at Rossall, and it's now on the way out, it's left behind loads of lovely pools on the beach. So I'm wondering whether, if I can use one of them, I might be able to get some nice reflections of the sunset in the water and also in the sky. But I'm told a couple of people are on the way, and hopefully it should be quite good to get some nice illumination shots with the tower and the lights and the trams going past, and there's loads of kids already have got spinny light up things, and it should be quite good. So I'm hopeful that the end of today's video and the end of today as a day should be quite good. So I'm just going to keep scouting some shots for sunset, and hopefully we'll get a half decent sunset around about the same time that the lights get turned on. There's lots of opportunity, there's piers, there's big wheels, spoilt for choice really. So as you can see, sunset has been and gone. It wasn't that much to write home about really. The clouds just kind of extinguished. A potentially decent sunset, but it didn't really happen. I met up with Michael. Tim is still on the way, he's stuck in traffic. And we've just been taking shots of the tower on the comedy carpet. They've got some sort of shows, light shows on at the moment, and we've been using the trams going past to create light trails. Then we've dropped just south of Central Pier to take shots of the big wheel, all lit up, spinning round, creating light trails in that way as well. After this, I'm not sure what I'm particularly going to do. I didn't vlog up near the tower because they were playing music and it would end up being flagged on this video because it was quite close and horribly loud, but it was alright. So it's very busy. I knew it would be because it's the last week of the Illuminations and some schools are on half term. But it's been good. It's been good to just experiment with different settings on the camera and just have a bit of a laugh with Michael. As I wait for Tim, I don't really know what we're going to do next. I need to get home at some point. I want to go back via St Anne's, so I might end up meeting Tim at St Anne's. But from Blackpool, I'll put up a few images at the end, and then I'll put up that image from St Anne's if I get it right at the end as well. Thanks for joining me on this really fun day of photography on the northwest coast. It's been good. It's certainly reinvigorated me, and I feel like I found my mojo again a little bit. Lots of long exposures, lots of simple photography, but simple with effectiveness, and yeah, it sort of gets you going again, gets your creativity going again. I'm really happy with what I've captured tonight, well, today and tonight. So thanks for joining me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing, and I'd like to say stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.